A few days have passed after the nerfs, and now we can see what are the best performing decks in Hearthstone right now. We're gonna go over 5 of the best decks, but we will also check out all of the other working archetypes for each individual class, so stick around to the end. And don't forget to leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoy what I'm doing. Also, you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is gonna be actually Deathrattle Rogue, which I just gave you a video about, so you might wanna check it out in detail there. The deck is actually very powerful, and it's definitely amongst the best performers out there right now, with about 60% win rate, with a very big sample size too. The deck is not super easy to pick up, but after a few games you should be climbing with ease. We are running 3 new cards here, being Scourge Illusionist, Infectious Ghoul, and also Invincible. And the rest is the good old Deathrattle package, which has quite the big high roll potential, so you should be winning a lot more than not. Your sketchy information is only drawing you your Scourge Illusionist, so never keep that in the mulligan. And you also have the cool Swift Scale Trickster into Smokescreen combo, which can be insanely good, especially if you already have a Snowfall Graveyard equipped. For more details, just check out the guide. Matchup wise, here's what it looks like, and priests are not gonna be good for you because they have a lot of clears, but everything else seems to be pretty good. Mulligan wise, you want your good cheap minions being your Foreskin Lieutenant, your Shatter Shambler, sketchy information's pretty good, Graveyard as well, and Prep can make the cut too. Swift Scale Trickster is great, and also if you already have him, Smokescreen can also be a great keep like that. But honestly, when going second, you might even keep either of these, if you only have one of them. Keeping the Cutlass is also not a bad idea, because you get to cheat out stuff earlier if it lands on a good spell to discount, but the rest is probably not an amazing keep for you. For Rogue, we have a ton of other good archetypes out there right now, and Miracle Rogue is probably in for a nerf real soon, hence why Deathrattle Rogue would be the better option for you, I think. And it only runs 1 legendary too, so there's that. Thief Rogue is still working as good as ever, even though the Nephrius got hit, so I'm not sure if these stats represent reality. And we also have a Heavy Concoction Rogue out there, which is also doing pretty good. But yeah, Rogue right now is very powerful, so anything you pick up is probably gonna be winning a lot. On the number 2 spot, we have this new Fell Quest Demon Hunter, which has been taking the meta by storm, but because it has insane healing, insane board clear, and also tons of damage later on. You have Jace as your payoff at the end, but the biggest new MVP in this list is Unleash Fell, which basically clears the whole board and heals you back to full with a little bit of spell power, which you have plenty of, including Silver Moon Arcanist as well as Goat Trader. Finishing the quest with this deck is not exactly essential, and you just want it for some early game discounts, so you can feel good about drawing and not fall too far behind. You still are running the good Relic package, and there's also room for 1 Viper in here, which is nice for you to have a tradable so you can get easier quest progression, but also it works great against rogues, obviously. Matchup wise, not that much stats yet. Ram Druid's not gonna be great, as well as Deathrattle Rogue because they're too tall for you. But you should be pretty good against most aggro decks as well. Mulligan wise, here's what it looks like. Card draw is nice, your Relic is also good. Relic of Phantasm's kinda iffy honestly, but I guess that's what the stats show. Spectral Sight, especially if it's outcastable for you. And also keeping a tradable is not a bad idea because it gives you easy quest progression for 1 mana. Mark of Scorn could be essential. Mark of Scorn is pretty good, and also Unleash Fell can be essential in certain matchups. For other good Demon Hunter decks, we also have the deck without quest doing just as good it seems, but the one with the quest is the one I have been seeing the most in Top Legends, so maybe there's a reason for that. There's also variants with the weapon, but all around Fell Demon Hunter is the only archetype for Demon Hunter right now, at least with enough stats to show. On the number 3 spot, we have Silverhand Paladin, which is a pretty aggressive archetype, which has been missing for Paladin for a while now. It did receive a lot of support with those self-damaging cards, which can be pretty nice for the archetype. So now Paladin basically feels like another Warlock kinda, but still it's doing well. 1 mana Divine Shield with a 2/1 is pretty solid. The new Blood Matriarch Liadrin is also in this one, and it's not exactly hard to buffer up out of control, so literally everything you play gets Divine Shield and Rush, and that can be crazy good. We also have the new old card, Class Action Lawyer, since this is a pure Paladin list. And you also have room for the Countess for that matter. Seal of Blood is the other new good card, it also damages you. And the rest is basically old stuff. Matchup wise, Miracle Rogue is going to be 50-50, and Blood Death Knight has a little bit too much board clear for you most of the time, but all around, it's not too polarized. polarizing. Mulligan-wise, we don't have that much stats yet, but basically you want to be curving out with your good 1-drops. Blood Matriarch is insanely good on curve as well. Dumbledore Bridge can also make the cut, especially when going second. Seal of Blood, if you know you're gonna be sticking a minion, is gonna be good. And also holding a buff at Biggin can be pretty good for you, so you can get it infused nice and early. For Paladin, we also have 40 Paladins doing okay still, and there's also this new Dragon Paladin going around, which can also be pretty fun. It seems like there's also other lists which are not pure at the bottom, but the stats are not as amazing for him. On the number 4 spot, we still have Kris Warlock doing crazy good, and it's still basically as strong as ever. There's literally not a single new card in this one, because basically, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and literally the expansion did not give it a single support card for what it's trying to do. But that doesn't change the fact that the deck is just too strong. You have tons of early game, great mid game, and you can even hold off your own on the late game too, because your curses scale up very, very high. Because your curses can literally scale up into the 2-digit damage. You can just check out one of my many guides about this deck and several coaching sessions with it too, including my latest video about it in the new meta, so you can see how it holds up. Matchup wise, Fell Demon Hunter might be a problem for you because they heal a lot and they have a lot of AoE, and also Miracle Rogue can be a bit too fast for you as well. But it's definitely not a lost cause there. Mulligan-wise, you always want your Librarian, your Fiendish Circle, your Wicked Shipment. Mischievous Imp can be great, especially if you're curving into it. Flame Imp also always a keep. And if you already have Wicked Shipment, you can also keep things like Library, Impending Catastrophe. And even the Cultist is not the worst keep in the world, especially when going second. Like, it's still a chunky free drop, which does progress your curses, so don't be afraid to hold on to it. It's literally your second best free drop after your Fiendish Circle, and odds of you getting Fiendish Circle every time, not very high. So Cultist is definitely not a bad card to keep, especially if you already have a 1-drop. I was thinking about including Imp Warlock instead of the Curse one, but since Saturday Nephews is a part of that one, and it just got nerfed, I'm not really sure if these stats are exactly what the reality is. But yeah, just Imp Warlock is still doing pretty good, but you might want to be cutting out the Nephrius out of it. What I don't like about the deck is it's just too linear, and if you get shut off the board, you usually can't really recover, so there's that. Whereas with Cursed Imp Warlock, you definitely have several ways to go. And on the last spot, we have Aggro Druid still, which is doing just as good, and it's taking a lot of people off guard. People are expecting ramp most of the time, but Aggro Druid can really shut off games pretty fast before things start getting ugly. This version is running a single new card, which is the Lingering Zombie, instead of the +2 health sidekick, which honestly, I still feel has room in this deck, because you can make some pretty crazy early turns with it, but the Lingering Zombie is also pretty nice. You also have a couple of Claw Fury Adepts, as well as Crooked Cooks in this one. And in previous versions, you usually had to choose only one of those, but this one has room for both. And at the end, we obviously have Herald of Nature for your massive buffs, as well as Pride's Fury. And you can also discover different stuff with your Planted Evidence too. Matchup-wise, the new Fell Demon Hunter is going to be pretty bad for you, and also Blood Death Knight not great either. But the rest of the popular matchups here are either 50 or very good for you, so there's that. Mulligan-wise, you always want your Herald of Nature, a good appropriate 1-drop. It really comes down to the matchup, and you gotta learn what is a good 1-drop against each particular one. Like, for instance, if you're going second against the Mage, Peasant not amazing. If you're going first against the Demon Hunter, Peasant not amazing. But yeah, against all other classes, Peasant can really shine. Iron Deep Trawl can be insanely good against most, and even Soul to Soul for a 2-2 early on is not a bad keep too. Aquatic Form is also not a bad keep pretty much ever, because you get to handpick what you are curving into, and you could even use it as soon as tier 1 to handpick a better 1-drop, and usually you will find one. For Druid, like I said, Ram Druid is pretty popular right now, and even though it is running the Nephrius, it's still probably gonna be one of the classes that can keep on utilizing him to its fullest potential, and you can either use just Ramp or Celestial as well. But that's about it for Druid, it's either aggro or ramp, everything else is a bust. For the classes we didn't mention, Death Knight is doing painfully average so far, which is not necessarily a bad thing, like everybody was expecting it to be overpowered as hell, but the situation is actually pretty tamed. Blood Death Knight is the top of the list right now, with a couple of versions with above 52% win rate. Frost Death Knight is also not bad at all, and it seems like Unholy Death Knight is not the winner of the bunch. But yeah, still plenty of room to figure out how the class is gonna pan out, so don't get your hopes down just yet. For Hunter, after they nerfed the bird, Beast Hunter seems to be the best performer still. There's also a 40 Arcane Hunter out there, but I'm just not sure if Shock Spitter is good enough still, but it's probably gonna be better in the 40 variant because you have more time to do stuff. But yeah, so far that seems to be the ways for Hunter. For Mage so far, Big Spell Mage is the only one that's actually working okay, and we have stats for it, so there's that. With Priest, there's actually an Undead Priest with 40, which is doing surprisingly well. But Blessed Priest is also still OP, especially if you know what you're doing with it. For Shamans, there's this Evolved Shaman out there which is doing pretty good, and there's also a more aggressive board-centric Swarm Shaman too, and at the end we have this Big Shaman which is just not doing as good as people are thinking it is. And on the last spot we have Enrage Warrior with some pretty good stats, but a kind of a low sample size, so I guess people are not really picking it up just yet. So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing in this post-nerf meta. A like and a subscribe would really be appreciated. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.